Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Hello again, St. Lucia, and welcome to the program, Agriculture on the Move. My name, Phillip Sydney. Before I delve into today's program, I just want to thank the regular viewers to this program for calling on the various departments in the ministry concerning the many programs that we have produced here. They have called for clarification and to seek more information. So I'm very happy for you calling. I'm also happy for those persons who have met me on the streets at various functions to compliment the program. I want to say thank you. I just want to say to Dr. Christy Daniel, who I met at a nursery purchasing some plants. And he said the reason for him coming here is because by watching the program, that got him involved in establishing a backyard garden. So I want to say, Christy, thanks again, and not only, don't stop there. Tell your patients to go into backyard gardening. Without further ado, I want to introduce you to Dr. Darius Gabriel, who is our Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Production, Fisheries, Co-operatives and Rural Development. He is really the CEO of the ministry. He is the accounting officer in the Ministry of Agriculture, and when it comes to the execution of work programs and projects, definitely that falls in his portfolio. I know his back is broad, so welcome, sir, to the program.
Thank you very much.
Doc, many moons ago, I know the ministry has been involved in coffee production. It was part of our diversification drive for many years. I don't know, maybe years before you, there was a plot at Union, which we call a demonstration plot, or where we got plants from. So cocoa and coffee over the years were part of that whole diversification drive. Because of bananas, I suppose, it went on and on. There is now a new thrust to rejuvenate that project. Tell us a little more about it.
Right. Well, as you rightly pointed out, historically, coffee production has accompanied cocoa production throughout St. Lucia. But for whatever the reason, over the years, there's been a decline in coffee production, so much so that currently we estimate that there's more or less 25 acres of land under coffee production currently. That's how bad it has declined. Mm-hmm. Having said that, however, we recognize that there are certain niche market opportunities for coffee. Not the least of which would be the tourism sector, for example. It begs one to think, when a tourist comes to St. Lucia, are they really coming here to consume North American coffee, for example, or wouldn't they like to sample St. Lucian coffee? Mm-hmm. But even as a people ourselves, we've been fairly large consumers of coffee as well. Mm-hmm. And so off our supermarket shelves, what we purchase now is imported coffee.
That's right.
So all of that led us to think that we need to do a market study for coffee and to reinitiate the process of developing a coffee industry in St. Lucia. So government has graciously agreed with us that this is the way to go with respect to coffee, and has provided us with the funding required to start the project this year. So this is going to be one of the core areas of focus for the ministry in this fiscal year. I can tell you a little more about it. Mm-hmm. The objective is to, over a period of 5 years, increase the acreage to 150 acres from 25, and expand production from some 40 metric tons that it is currently, 40 metric tons of wet beans, increase that by 2022 to 400 metric tons. Okay. So we have some very clear targets in mind and what we wish to do. For this particular year, we've been allocated some $300,000 EC, right? So I'm going to give you very quickly so that you get a fairly good understanding of what we propose to do. Some of the activities that will be undertaken during this year with this allocation.
Okay.
We're going to conclude our inventory of coffee farms. I told you we've more or less estimated there about 25 acres. We're going to conclude our market study so that this can inform us exactly how we're going to position the coffee to sell in the market, the niche that we could create.
Okay.
We're going to proceed with the development of technological packages for coffee production. We're going to rehabilitate and maintain the existing coffee farms and also select the farms that we're going to expand. We're going to undertake the propagation of planting material as well as implementing the recommended agronomic and husbandry practices for coffee. We're going to distribute planting material as well, and we're going to establish new coffee farms and plots throughout the island. We also intend to do this year establishment and maintenance of model coffee farms or coffee plots. So these are the areas where we're going to take people to instruct them on best practices with respect to coffee production.
Okay.
Obviously, any agricultural endeavor involves procurement of agrochemicals and so on, tools and equipment. We're going to undertake this as well. But very importantly, there's a training component for some 50 farmers, training in best practice in coffee production. So, in addition, before I conclude, we wish to target women as well, particularly in the area of processing of coffee bean. So we are targeting for this year training of 25 women in coffee processing.
So are they going to be given any equipment for processing, or is just
They will have access to this equipment. The equipment will not be given to them as theirs, but they'll have access. It will be available for training and for use.
Oh, very good. Yes. Because as you know, I mean, right now our coffee is on our local market. I mean, if you go by the market right now, we get running coffee, and that is used for years. So there's a demand, there's a niche market for it.
Now, it's good that you've mentioned that, because one of the objectives of this particular project is to focus on value adding. What are the ways in which we can add value to the local coffee? Is it all we can do merely to grind it and drink it? What else can be done? Whether it is by way of packaging, whether it's by way of blending with other ingredients, these kinds of areas of research we intend to pursue as well.
Okay. Quickly, we're going into, there's a move to get lands for agriculture, land bank management. Give us an insight into this, because that is something I've been around for a while, and I do think we have a policy on this.
Well, it all depends on. I may not agree that we don't have a policy on it. There is a policy, and the policy is that an agricultural land bank will be established.
Okay.
What does not yet exist is the exact mechanisms by which it will be established and managed. You with me? But we have a clear policy directive to proceed to establish a land bank. There's no question about that. So we have in the ministry already undertaken certain reconnaissance, preliminary reconnaissance of crown lands that could be part of that land bank. What we propose to do this year is to complete the inventory of crown lands that could be part of the agricultural land bank, establish a management system for the incorporation of private lands as well as crown lands into the land bank, and for providing access to these lands by young entrepreneurs. And we wish to also have the system up and running by December of 2015.
Okay.
That's right. So in other words, we feel that we have done sufficient groundwork, and that what remains to be done is merely to establish the system, concretize the exact amount of land, crown lands, that will form part of this, establish, as I said, mechanisms to invite private lands to participate in it as well, and establish the mechanisms.
How does the private lands get into that land bank? Is government going to be purchasing those private lands?
Well, that's what I meant when I said establish the mechanisms.
Okay.
Purchasing is an option, I suppose, but it would probably not be the first option.
Okay.
Very likely it's going to be different options can arise. So, for example, you can have a case where somebody leases the land to government. So that person is leasing directly to government. Okay. And government leases and then sublets or subleases, I think is the expression, to the farmers to use it. That's one configuration that can work. But you could also have a landowner choosing to have his land be part of the land bank and function on the management and control of the land bank.
Okay.
But the lease may be directly between him and the lessee.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And so on. So we have not yet concluded on what is the best approach, and you may well discover that for different situations you can apply different approaches.
Of course.
So that's one of the issues that we're going to finalize during the course of this fiscal year.
Okay.
All the mechanisms that should be available to us to ensure that the land bank is up and running. But importantly, we have set ourselves a target of December 2015, December of this year, to get all of that sorted out.
Okay, good. Okay, we're just about to take our first break, but when we come back, I want to touch on a topic that is close to my heart, Boseju.
Right.
You're watching Agriculture on the Move. We're due for a break. Back soon.
Did you know that government provides duty-free incentives on farm machinery, inputs, irrigation systems, boat engines, boats, and many more? Investing in agriculture, a wise choice.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. With me, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. Darius Gabriel. Doc, I can recall many moons ago, Boseju was what I call Boseju at its excellence. During our school break, kids were excited to go to Boseju to watch at the biggest pig, and to watch at all the other animals. Boseju has dwindled. There's no two ways about it. The infrastructure, has dilapidated. There's now room, I was told, for the resuscitation of Boseju. Tell us a little about that.
Right. Well, let me conclude with you that sadly, over the years, the infrastructure at Boseju, as well as, one might add, the general husbandry practices have deteriorated. I think it's there for all to see, and it's particularly inopportune, considering that we've just concluded the construction of a national meat processing facility.
Yes,
so
yes.
That sort of background makes it virtually imperative that we do something about Boseju. And we were very fortunate to attract some funding from the IBSA Trust Fund. IBSA stands for India, Brazil, South Africa. So they have this facility entitled Facility for Poverty and Hunger Alleviation. It's part of what they call the South-South Cooperation. And so we penned a project to them entitled Poverty Reduction in St. Lucia through Livestock Development. Okay. And they agreed to fund that project to the tune of $1.3 million over 3 years.
Okay.
So we've been allocated 1.3 million EC for this year. And let me quickly tell you what we expect to achieve with that project. A large part of the emphasis will be on Boseju. We will be converting, and this has become almost cliche because we have heard it before, but we are going to be converting Boseju into a center of excellence. That will involve both infrastructural works as well as selection and breeding of high quality animals to make available to the farming community, as well as ensuring that there are training facilities for farmers, livestock officers, veterinary officers, and so on. We are going to, for example, procure irrigation equipment to ensure that there's proper irrigation in the place. We're going to explore the use of alternative renewable energy sources for Boseju. Okay. We're going to reinitiate artificial insemination, this time in small ruminants in particular, and swine as well, and training of our farmers and technicians in appropriate artificial insemination techniques. The point of all of this is to ensure that our farmers are trained in the best practice for livestock production, and that they are encouraged to be as innovative as possible whilst employing those best practices to get optimal returns from their production practices and from their investment, right? Okay. So there'll be a heavy emphasis on what is modern, what is innovative, what is cutting edge in terms of forging ahead of Boseju. Okay. Along with this, though, the small ruminant cooperative is a partner in all of this. And one of the objectives of that project will be to strengthen of the managerial and technical capabilities of that association. So that project is going to undertake all of that during the course of this year. And in addition, we are going to establish 2 communal pastures in still to be chosen impoverished rural areas in St. Lucia. And the point of the communal pastures is you establish an area of improved pasture and forage that allows a group of farmers from that community to feed the animals, a balanced blend of grasses and forages for optimal growth of livestock. It borrows on the model that we have employed in communal pastures in Beaufort, except that in this particular instance, the emphasis will be on small ruminants rather than on cattle. So this is the profile of that particular project.
It's interesting. I just want to go back a bit. How was that IPSA project come about? How did it come about?
Well, I mean, we have diplomatic representation out there, and we were alerted to that possibility through diplomatic channels. And once we were made aware of that, our Chief Agricultural Planning Officer set to put pen to paper, worked with the Livestock and Veterinary Services Division to establish the parameters for that project, prepared it, submitted it. And as a matter of fact, before it was approved, a delegation from the trust fund had to visit St. Lucia and to see for themselves the potential that existed before they approved that project.
Okay, very, very good. Leading to that now, since we're talking about the quality of breeds of animals to be developed, I think that is in sync with the meat processing facility.
Correct.
So where are we now with that meat processing facility, which of course have been the talk over the years?
Well, the construction of that facility is complete. And at the end of this month, we will be undertaking the commissioning of the equipment. So the engineers, the firm that provided the equipment, which is a UK-based firm, will be sending the engineers down towards the end of this month to hook up the system and ensure that everything is in good working order. The AC and freezing equipment, which was provided by a Trinidadian firm, similar will apply. Their technicians are going to come down to ensure that this is operational. And what else remains? That would be it. So after this is done, the facility will be operational. Let me say that differently. The facility would be in a condition to operate.
Okay.
That's right. So we would have established that all the equipment is in working order and everything is functioning as it should. Right? So from there, we'll be awaiting the commissioning of the actual plant, the opening of that plant.
So by then, hopefully, farmers will be, sensitized as to exactly what is required from them for production of animals.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
Great. Okay, I'm moving fast and furious. We are looking at our banana production in St. Lucia. As we know, we know the history. But we're happy that, of course, we are still exporting bananas. People are still making money out of bananas. I heard the minister making some pronouncement in terms of how much money that came in over the 5 years into St. Lucia. And I'm happy that that is going on. The Black Sikatoka Management Unit is on board. Give us an idea of where are they now with the Black Sikatoka control.
Well, banana production continues to be a significant earner in the agricultural sector. And the work that the Black Sikatoka unit is doing is extremely important. Because if it weren't for that work, there's no telling where the industry might be today. Clearly, the unit has managed to control Black Sikatoka disease, which is known to be quite a devastating disease of bananas, and managed to pull back the impact so that we can continue to produce. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to continue with that project. That project is funded jointly by the Republic of China and Taiwan and the government of St. Lucia. We're going to continue with that project. It will involve continuing the procurement and supplies of agrochemicals for use in the treatment of the disease. It will involve selling these agrochemicals to the certified farmers at a subsidized price, at the 50% subsidized price that government has established. It will involve continued training It will involve establishment of demo plots and so on.
That's right.
It will involve research, especially into plantain that is black sigatoka disease resistant. But also this year, we're going to be embarking on some public education initiatives with respect to the project. So we will be procuring public education and communication services for the preparation and publication of a banana manual. Right? A banana manual and other supporting documents, as well as production of PSAs. So you'll be seeing a lot of the work of the unit on television, hearing it on radio, a lot more than you have been in the past. We're also going to procure a GIS-based geospatial data management system. That's a mouthful. And training of technicians and system operators to handle that GIS-based system. Basically what it means is we're going to use GIS to assist us in determining where our affected farms are, where the free farms are, and to help us in decision making in terms of where to treat, when to treat, and so on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen a re-emergence of persons coming back into bananas as a result of the involvement of the ministry, the whole black sigatoka control?
That's hard to tell, and I'll tell you why. There are other factors that influence whether persons come in or leave at any point in time. So if you take into account things like Hurricane Thomas, or you take into account the Christmas Eve trough, these may tend to pull people away rather than towards the industry. So it's difficult on balance to tell exactly what has transpired.
All right, hold that thought there. You're watching Agriculture on the Move. We'll do for our second break. Stay tuned. Don't go away.
St. Lucia is blessed year-round with an abundance of fruits. But do you know that most of them go to waste? Here's an opportunity to invest either from a small to a large-scale agro-processing enterprise. You can contact the Ministry of Agriculture for further information.
Welcome back to the program. Dr. Gabriel, of course, we dealt with a certain programs in agriculture, but we cannot leave out fisheries.
That's right.
Because fisheries is an integral, part of the whole system. Where are we now with the fisheries sector, the development of the fisheries sector as per this year and beyond?
Okay, it's interesting you asked where are we. That can take quite a bit of while to
I know, it's a mouthful.
But the fisheries sector continues to perform well, but not without its challenges, and we know of some of those challenges. Bear in mind that the objective here is sustainable development, sustainable exploitation of the fisheries. So whatever we do with fisheries, we always have to keep at the back of our minds that it must be sustainable. You don't want, for example, overfishing. So all of that has to be managed. So in that context, we have the fisheries development program that we are currently implementing, and it's going to be one of the main areas of focus for us this year. We're going to continue to implement this program. It involves a lot of training of persons, fishers, in the national vocational qualifications that have been established for the sector through the work of the personnel at the fisheries department and other technical experts available on the island. So it has a strong emphasis on training of facilitators, training of assessors and verifiers, all geared towards ensuring that people are certified against the NVQ, the National Vocational Qualifications that they are certified. We are also going to complete learners and teachers guides in boating operations and safety. Boating safety is really a great concern for us. Every year we hear of the sad cases of fishers who have gone missing.
Just recently?
Precisely. And it's something that we continue to emphasize year after year until we get a few years in which we hear no cases of anybody going missing. So that's a crucial component of our work this year. The conch fishers are also of some concern to us in terms of the risks that they're exposed to down there with respect to the bends and so on. So there will be a lot of training provided to them during the course of this year as well in terms of recognizing the dangers and avoiding the dangers, and also what treatment regimes might be available to them once they become afflicted by the bends. We are also going to complete training in the NVQ for fish handling and processing, because the entire chain must be handled. It's not enough to merely fish on the appropriate conditions and store. In terms of processing, appropriate handling practices must also be employed. So that's also going to be part of this year's program, as well as fisher training in first aid. First aid can make a difference when you're out there and people are injured. Definitely. Or hurt in any way. It's probably an area of fishing that is kind of underestimated, undervalued, and we intend to give it its rightful place. In addition, we had embarked upon the retrofitting of 10 fishing vessels to equip them with ice boxes and so on. We've managed 5, so we're going to complete the other 5 this year. And we're going to continue with our promotion of CMOS products that also started a couple of years ago. Now, that's in terms of the fisheries development project, but we also have the project for the, what's it called? Fisheries equipment. I always have difficulty saying that project because it's really a translation of the Japanese, right? It's improvement of fishery equipment and machinery. So it's project for the improvement of fishery equipment and machinery. That's right. I got it finally. So as I said, this is funded by the Japanese, and basically it's about ensuring that the infrastructure that is employed, particularly by the St. Lucia Fish Marketing Corporation, is up to standard, is modern, and can be utilized for the purpose for which it is intended. But it also has a component that deals directly with fishing. So, for example, it's going to through this project, we're going to establish 2 submerged type fish aggregating devices. We're going to procure and install an ice machine, ice storage, and blast freezer for the fish marketing facility in Vieux-Fort. We're going to procure and install an ice machine, storage, and solar-powered system for Dennery. Also, procure and install a condenser for the refrigeration system in Castries. Repair the ice machine in Ancillary with the collaboration of the Ancillary Cooperative. And construct an ice plant in Rosalie. So, fishing establishments, for lack of a better expression, in various sites of the island will benefit from the inputs of that project.
As you on this said, can you touch briefly on what seems to be a nuisance, the seaweed, the sargassum? Could you briefly, because we don't have much time left?
Well, I would delete seems to be. What is indeed a nuisance, and one of the reasons it's a nuisance, I can cite 2 very easy reasons. One is that there's still so much that needs to be understood about it that makes it even more of a nuisance. And of course, the main reason that it's a nuisance is the impact of it accumulating in the bay and emitting a foul odor and making it difficult for fishers and CMOS farmers to go out to sea and so on. So it's a nuisance in many ways. Having said that, though, it also seems to represent an opportunity. It's clearly something that we have to position ourselves to deal with, and we have concluded, based on some preliminary work that we have done, because we established a group to look at it, that we need to take a 2-pronged approach to this sargassum seaweed issue. In the short term, we think we need to do something to alleviate the situation at Prale. So we're going to mobilize our own resources to clear out the Prale Bay to ensure that fishers and CMOS farmers and the community at large do not have to continue to unfund this immediately. But in the longer term, it's going to require a national effort involving all relevant stakeholders, but indeed also the wider public to confront this issue. As I said earlier on, there's still a lot we don't understand. We're not sure for how long this is going to continue. We're not sure what volumes will be coming in year by year, if it will be coming in month to month. We hear different pronouncements.
Dr. We have reached, there's so much, so many programs that we can talk about, but we have concluded the program. I think we'll have to look at a part 2.
Yes, probably.
Yeah, but thanks, Doc, for coming. We have been watching Agriculture on the Move. We want to thank you, the viewer, for viewing the program. And of course, as usual, keep on commenting on the program, and whatever information you want, come to the ministry, the various departments, and get more information. Thank you again for viewing, and remember to eat fresh. St. Lucia's best. I am Phillip Sydney saying goodbye, and see you again.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.